Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, we are looking at one of the coolest and worst figures Hasbro's put out in a long time. This is part of the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave. This is the Hologram Iron Man. And this one's a confusing one for me because I'm familiar with Hologram Iron Man, but I believe this is a comic-based figure, like in terms of not MCU. It's not an MCU figure. But isn't that an MCU figure? We'll get into that. Okay, so it's kind of cool and kind of bad and kind of awesome all at the same time. So let's get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, this guy stands just about 17. I hate how this figure can't have straight legs. I always think it's not straightened out, but then it is, and then it's just because the figure can't have straightened legs. Alright, about 17¼ centimeters, which makes it pretty close to 6 3/4 inches, right around there. And what I was talking about isn't the mold of this figure from the one MCU Iron Man that was like silver and red? Wasn't it like silver chest from the Spider-Man movie, I think it was? I feel like that's what this is. Maybe it's not, but it's definitely a reused mold. I know it was used before. Anyway, it's all transparent blue, and it looks really, really cool. Like, that's what I'm saying, is one of the best looking figures. And this white line paint job they did, Hasbro, if you can do this, you can paint anything the way you want to paint it, because this is not an easy paint job to accomplish. Not an easy one at all, and you freaking nailed it. They did a really, really good job with this paintwork. And with the transparent blue, it looks phenomenal. It's incredible. The PVC parts look good, the ABS or whatever hard plastic they're using looks good, the white paint looks good. It's really well done. So for that part of it, it's awesome, but the mold that they chose to do this with is a terrible one. It's one of the worst ones they've ever made. Why? Why did they do that? I don't know how to rectify that in my mind. There's some cognitive dissonance with how cool this is and how bad it is at the same time. The arms are way too long, the legs have a huge gap. The posability is awful, we'll get to that. It's just a really terrible mold. The joints don't straighten out for the elbows or the knees. It's a really bad figure as far as like the actual plastic. But the clear part, the clear aspect of it, and the white paint job is really nice. So I'm going to average it out to a 7 out of 10 if you're just going to stick it on a shelf and not notice the problems. Otherwise, I'm going to knock it down to a 6 if you're going to do anything else with it. As far as accessories go, he comes with the 2 open hands on him in the package, and then he comes with the 2 fist hands as accessories, so that's cool. The open hands do have repulsor blast holes, which the repulsor blasts that we have do fit in. Can somebody let me know how Hologram Iron Man shoots blasts? Is that a thing? That can't be a thing, because he's a hologram. So you guys can let me know about that. But he does come with some blue repulsor blasts with some decent enough paintwork on there, so that's cool. I'd also like to note that the wrists on this guy for the repulsor hands, they technically have the hinge to bend, but you can't do it. So he can't use the repulsor blast anyway, so don't worry about it. Terrible. Okay, 7 out of 10, no, 5 out of 10 for accessories. Okay, alright, on to the articulation, which is going to be a doozy. I remember this figure from before being really bad. The head works okay though, he does look up nicely. And he looks down nicely. And of course he can rotate, no problem there. And there is a little bit of a ball peg, so you get a little bit of toot if you want it. Now the shoulder pads are fixed to the shoulder, so you get virtually no range there. That's it. Your rotation is fine. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Alright, that one doesn't work. Double jointed elbow. There we go. Just better than 90 degrees. Very, very limited. And then for the wrist articulation, like I said, we have the swivel, and we have the hinge to let the wrist bend like that if you want it to, but to use the repulsor blast, you can't because of the way it's sculpted, and they did not account for that in the articulation. So you can't. No repulsor blast. For the torso, it leans back that far, which is basically 0. I mean, it's not 0, but it's pretty close. And leaning forward, you can force it to that. So very little. Side to side is non-existent, really. It's just a diaphragm joint that doesn't lean side to side, and you get your rotation. That's it for the upper torso. For the hips, which are super wide, like that's a huge thigh gap. Holy crap, that's a big thigh gap. Legs don't go even out to 45 degrees. That's really bad. Going forward, they go out not even enough really for a brisk walk. And they go back just a little bit. Thigh swivel is a thigh swivel. Double jointed knee does work nicely, but I'd like to note how much longer his lower legs are than his upper legs. They're huge down here and tiny up here. Not a great design. Anatomically incorrect. Ankles do work pretty well once you force them over the hump, so that works okay. Going back, going forward, they are okay in that direction also, and then you get a decent enough ankle rocker. So yeah, articulation's still atrocious on this figure. It's really, really bad. Add that to the terrible proportions of the long lower legs, tiny thighs, big thigh gap, gorilla arms, weird chest. It's just, ugh. Okay, so articulation on this guy, 5 out of 10. Overall verdict on this guy is the plastic's really cool, the paint job's really cool, but it's a horrible mold they chose to use for it. I don't understand. Unless, is this, maybe, you guys can let me know, like I said, let me know, is this particular look a thing? I don't know, it looks like an MCU sculpt to me, but it's not part of the MCU line, so I don't know what's going on. I'm going to be very generous and average it out to a 6 out of 10 because the plastic and the paint are cool, but the figure itself still sucks. You can't pose it at all. And it looks goofy in most poses because of the thigh gap, the skinny legs, the long arms. There's just so many problems with it. It's a really goofy looking figure in almost every way other than the blue plastic and paint, white paint. So, what a bummer. There's no white paint on the back either, so never look at it from the back, only from the front. Alright, there it is, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm fairly disappointed and also impressed at the same time. It's weird. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. Those still do count. You just can't see the tally. That's what she said. No, it's not. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.